How y'all doing this morning?
Good morning.
Morning everybody, and welcome to Kennedy Space Center. My name's Bob, and I'm going to be your escort this morning as we head out to the Apollo Saturn V Center. We're going to be about 15 minutes or so getting to Saturn V, and as we're traveling we will go by the vehicle assembly building, and you're going to get a good look at the VAB. You're going to get a lot of information about the building. And then once you get out to the Saturn V Center, there you will see a real Saturn V moon rocket laid out there in the building with a lot of other neat space artifacts that are there. And you will also get to see both the launch pads at Kennedy Space Center, pad 39A, 39B. And there's an area where you can get some pictures and things if you'd like to do that. We will point that out as we get closer. As we're traveling right now, it is extremely important that everyone remains seated. We certainly don't want anyone hurt on the bus. And then we also ask everyone to please be very considerate of talking and conversation so everybody can hear, and we want you to enjoy all the information. Folks, thank you so much for being here with us today. It's going to be an exciting weekend, and we're looking forward to you having a good time. Thank you very much, and we're on our way.
Ignition sequence start.
Now go step off the limb now. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We have pondered our place amongst the stars since the dawn of humankind. We've looked at the stars with wonder and amazement, their glow guiding our travel for centuries.
Folks, let me point out right quick here as we go by. Standing right there is a real Mercury Redstone rocket right there. That is a real Mercury Redstone. And the Mercury Redstone rockets were the first rockets NASA used here at Kennedy Space Center to place human beings into space. And the capsule on that rocket could hold one person only. And they came to NASA as ballistic missiles from the U.S. Army. NASA converted them over to become rockets to be able to carry humans on board. And you will get some more information about that.
Imagine being one guy, one person.
This rocket that you'll see standing tall in front of KSC's badging station is the Mercury Redstone rocket. It represents NASA's earliest efforts to send humans into space. These Redstone rockets were formerly ballistic missiles provided to NASA by the U.S. Army. In October of 1958, NASA formally organized Project Mercury with the mission to investigate man's reaction to this new environment and safely recover the capsule and its pilot. Man rating for human spaceflight on what was previously a ballistic missile was no easy task. After several modifications and test flights, a Mercury capsule carrying Ham, a chimpanzee, was successfully launched and recovered on January 31st, 1961. Just months later, on May 5th, astronaut Alan Shepard launched on a Mercury Redstone rocket, becoming the first American in space.
Hi, I'm Janet Petro, and welcome to NASA's John F. Kennedy Space Center, where NASA astronauts have ventured forth on flights of exploration since the 1960s. And what an exciting time to visit our multi-user spaceport. Through our Commercial Crew program, we are sending astronauts to the International Space Station from American soil for the first time since the Space Shuttle program ended in 2011. We're continuing to launch new research experiments and supplies to the space station with our commercial resupply services and launching the most technologically advanced scientific instruments to date into space through our launch services program. This all culminates in our ultimate mission, the Artemis program, where NASA will return to the moon, this time with the first woman and first person of color, and continue on to Mars. In all our history, there's been one common theme woven throughout our DNA. It's our insatiable desire to explore beyond our home planet in our never-ending quest to expand our knowledge of the universe. As you venture behind the gates, you'll find a community of the most talented, dedicated, motivated workforce anywhere in the world who believe in the unlimited potential of space exploration. This is an active spaceport where new things are happening every day. You never know what you might see, so enjoy your tour.
You are now approaching the Vehicle Assembly Building, or as NASA calls it, the VAB. It is one of the largest buildings in the world by volume, and is the place where NASA completes the final assembly of its rockets before launch. The sheer scale of this building is hard to grasp, even when you're right next to it.
Do you ever feel really small when you think about space? What about when you're standing next to a skyscraper or a really big bridge? Well, I feel about as small as an ant right now. I'm standing inside the vehicle assembly building trying to grasp how large it really is in here. It has 4 bays. Each bay has 2 large horizontal doors below it and 7 smaller vertically opening doors above it, tall enough to fit the world's largest rocket through. In fact, these are the largest doors in the world.
Construction of the VAB required 65,000 cubic yards of concrete, 45,000 steel beams, 1 million steel bolts amounting to almost 100,000 tons of steel. Notice the flag painted on the outside of the VAB? It's the size of a 21-story building. The blue section alone is the size of an NBA basketball court. Each star is 6 feet across, and each red and white stripe is wide enough for this bus to drive down. And the entire VAB? It's so huge that the Roman Colosseum would fit on the roof with room to spare for a parking lot. By volume, the VAB can fit 3.5 Empire State Buildings, and it would take 250 billion ping pong balls to fill it.
Would anybody want to start counting those ping pong balls? Maybe not.
Every Saturn V rocket that sent humans to the moon was assembled right here. Every space shuttle mission also assembled within these same walls. After the space shuttle program, a major renovation to the inside of this building began to accommodate NASA's next generation of rockets, the Space Launch System, or SLS.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we get closer here to the VAB now, I'm going to give you a lot more information here about the building. The Vehicle Assembly Building is the world's largest one-story building. It's 525 feet tall, 160 meters. All one story. You can walk into the ground floor of this building almost anywhere, look up and see the ceiling. The building itself takes up almost 9 acres on the inside perimeter. Our American flag, that is the world's largest hand-painted flag. It was painted by hand with brushes and rollers on the building. 210 feet in length, 110 feet in width. The stripes are 8.5 feet wide. The field of stars is the size of a professional basketball court. Stars themselves 6 feet around, point to point. Folks, it took 632 gallons of paint to paint that flag, and it has been repainted since the first time, hand painted. Here on the west side of the building, you have a set of big gray doors here. These are called high bay doors. The high bay doors are 456 feet tall, and it does take about an hour and 10 minutes to completely open a set of those doors. And now as we pass these little buildings, coming into view over here is a tall tower, launch tower, standing on top of a brand new mobile launch platform. And this was built preparing it for SLS Artemis. The first Artemis launch flew off of that tower, from that tower and that platform out at Pad B just about 3 months ago. And they brought it back and they're preparing it for the next launch. And now we have one more section of video here that we're going to show, and then we're going to pull into the Saturn V Center.
Some say the moon. Why choose this as our goal? And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain? 5 years ago, fly the Atlantic. Why does Rice play Texas? We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
When President John F. Kennedy made this speech in 1962, he set in motion an era of discovery that would change humankind forever. 7 years after he spoke these ambitious words, the world watched as Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin became the first people to walk on the moon. The achievements of the men and women who worked on the space program in these early decades of NASA helped propel the technology we use every day. NASA and the thriving private space industry at Kennedy Space Center today are the living legacy of their story. As we arrive at the Apollo Saturn V Center to learn more about that historic era, get ready to step back into a time when NASA had everything to prove to a nation focused on one goal: to be the first country to land a person on the moon.
Ladies and gentlemen, now pulling in here, just to point out our two launch pads for you. Right straight ahead of us, you can see through the trees, across the water there. That is launch pad 39A right out there. 39A has been our most used launch pad from the beginning. There were 82 shuttle launches flying from that pad, and now it is used by SpaceX. And that's where the launch is scheduled Monday morning at the astronaut launch at 1:49 a.m. right there from pad A. Pad 39B is up here toward the north side. 53 shuttle launches went from pad B, and now NASA has it prepared and ready for the SLS Artemis. And that's where the first Artemis launch took place, right there at pad B. While you're here, ladies and gentlemen, you can go clear to the east side of the building and you can get pictures, get a good look at the launch pads, whatever you'd like to do. You can stay here as long as you like. Right now you're going to go to the steel doors. You do not have to get into a line there either. You can get up there as close as you like. The buses do keep coming through, so whenever you're ready to go back, follow the exit signs out of the building and we'll take you right on back. Folks, please make sure you have all your personal things with you, and I certainly hope you have a wonderful time today. Thank you very much.
How are you today? What a lovely day.
How you doing?
Good.
Well, you're stuck with me again.
That works. You did good before.
It's going to be about 12-13 minutes or so getting back. As we're traveling back, we will go back by the vehicle assembly building, and you'll get a good look at the VAB as we go by. And then you're also going to get some information about the Merritt Island National Wildlife Refuge, which is located here at Kennedy Space Center. And Kennedy Space Center as a whole is made up of 144,000 acres, and that's approximately 220 square miles. And there's only about 7,000 to 8,000 of these acres that are developed. Everything else has been left natural for over 400 different species of wildlife that are here. So you're going to get You're going to get some more information about that. And then there's a lot of things to do back at the visitor complex, and we'll talk about those as we get closer. Folks, while we're traveling now, it's important everyone remain seated so everybody stays safe. And we also ask everyone to please be considerate of talking and conversation so everybody can enjoy the information. Thank you very much for being with us, and we're on our way.
Please check around your seat to make sure. Since 2010, NASA's Commercial Crew Program has been working with American aerospace companies on creating cost-effective access to the International Space Station, or ISS, and other low Earth orbit missions. Launching from right here at Kennedy Space Center, astronauts can travel to the ISS aboard spacecraft developed by private companies SpaceX and Boeing. SpaceX's capsule, Crew Dragon, is capable of carrying up to 7 astronauts and cargo launched on SpaceX's own Falcon 9 rocket. Crew Dragon, upon returning to Earth, splashes down in the ocean in one of 7 different locations off the coast of Florida. These are chosen based on specific criteria such as weather and location of the spacecraft in orbit. On May 30th, 2020, SpaceX launched Demonstration Mission 2, also known as Demo 2, the first crewed test flight of the Crew Dragon. NASA's astronauts Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley launched to the ISS for the final step in proving the reliability of SpaceX.
I'm going to take a quick look. We did see a couple alligators laying out here a while ago. See if anybody is still there. Nope, they're gone.
Has also undergone orbital flight tests in order to send crews to the space station. It's able to seat up to 7 astronauts and cargo. Starliner launches atop an Atlas V rocket, made by United Launch Alliance, or ULA. Upon its return to Earth, rather than splashing down in the ocean, Starliner deploys airbags to land in the desert of the western United States. Starliner was actually the first American-made human-rated capsule to have landed on land. On September 4, 2015, Boeing opened its commercial crew and cargo processing facility in what was formerly the orbiter processing facility for the Space Shuttle program. This building you'll see adjacent to the VAB boasts a large, colorful mural of the Starliner in orbit. The Commercial Crew Program is allowing private companies to design in the most efficient and cost-effective way, while NASA engineers offer oversight and expertise. While these companies focus on providing transportation services to and from low Earth orbit, NASA is freed up to focus on deep space missions.
Kennedy Space Center is surrounded by the Merritt Island National Wildlife Refuge. While the refuge in total takes up 140,000 acres, NASA only occupies about 7,000 acres. Other than the few launch pads and facilities you see spotted across the horizon, this area remains a refuge for 150,000 species of plants and animals. I want to introduce you to Becky Bolt, who has been a NASA wildlife ecologist here at KSC for nearly 35 years. Becky, what kind of wildlife can we expect to see here today?
We have lots and lots of different kinds of wildlife. We have over 400 species that occur out here on the Space Center. Look in the ditches and you'll see lots of wading birds, tall herons, egrets, ibises. There's several species of those, and I can pretty much guarantee you're going to see some of those. We have bobcats, raccoons, all kinds of animals.
Now, what is your role as a wildlife ecologist?
One of the main things we do is support operations. So people always think, oh, that's launch. Well, Kennedy Space Center is big and we have a lot of employees. It's like a city. We have lots of roads, we have lots of buildings, and so there's lots of maintenance and construction. So anything that might impact the habitat or wildlife, we have to go out and we check it out. And we work with the project managers to make sure that animals aren't harmed. Gopher tortoises are notorious for this. They go places where they shouldn't be, and sometimes we have to move them. We also support launches. We do a lot of research because we help the land managers, on Kennedy Space Center, the land managers are the Fish and Wildlife Service, because this is a wildlife refuge. We have federally listed scrub jays and federally listed beach mice. There's probably some watching us right now. And so we provide that data to them so they know how to manage the land in the best way.
What are some of the more recent projects you've worked on here?
The most exciting new project that we have, and it's not really new, it started in 2010, but it's been ongoing since then, is our Created Dune project. We were having problems with when there are bad storms, hurricanes, which we get a fair amount. It was destroying our primary dune here, and we were getting washover that was getting closer and closer to facilities. We created dunes and took lots of sand and spread it out and piled it up and planted it with native vegetation.
Oh yeah, because you can see there's a launch pad right here, the ocean's right there, and the dune is protecting it.
Right.
Well, Becky, thank you so much for teaching us how nature meets technology here at KSC, and hopefully our guests on our tour will see some of this wildlife today.
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
For more than 20 years, a pine tree along the Kennedy Parkway has been home to the largest eagle's nest on Kennedy Space Center. Eagles have long been a symbol at NASA for human spaceflight, including the famous Apollo 11 mission.
Folks, do want to point out as we pass these trees here, look over to the right, you see some tall industrial cranes there, and there's a brand new building. That facility was built by SpaceX, and that's where they bring their boosters after a launch. They bring them back there and they completely rebuild those boosters over and over. And they are expanding the facility there where they can get 4 or 5 boosters in there at the same time. And they save themselves a lot of time and money by completely rebuilding those boosters.
Kennedy Space Center.
Did you ever want to be an astronaut? Maybe it was the cool spacesuits or the idea of floating in microgravity. Whatever the reason, it takes dreamers, thinkers, and adventurers to push the boundaries of human space exploration. But no matter how far we explore beyond our world, the journey ultimately starts right here in the imagination of our youth. It is so important to support STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, focused education curricula to foster that next generation of rocket scientists, physicists, chemists, and of course, astronauts. These core building blocks form the foundation of the incredible achievements of NASA. The astronaut training experience here at the Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex works with some of these bright children who may one day be the people who walk across the gantry into a capsule on their way to Mars.
My favorite thing about space is how we know so much, but then there's so much we can learn about it because of how big and endless it is.
What I love about the ATX Center is the microgravity simulator. That was really fun because it felt like you were fixing the ISS in like zero gravity.
My favorite thing here at the Visitor Complex, if I had to choose, would be the shuttle launch simulator, because it's so awesome to feel what I feel like when I take off.
More than 60 years of innately curious and wildly ambitious space pioneers have led us to countless new discoveries and modern conveniences we enjoy today. Literally thousands of items can trace their roots back to NASA, from smoke detectors and memory foam mattresses to life-saving medical equipment. It's amazing how the work being done to take us thousands of miles into space is also making life better right here on Earth. Of all the benefits of modern technology, perhaps none are more powerful than our ability to connect with another person anywhere, instantly. To pick up a cell phone and call a loved one many thousands of miles away, to instantly share a photo with our network of friends, to collaborate and share information with like-minded people to create something great together. In a way, the modern communications technologies are making Earth feel like a smaller place. And while they are bringing us closer together, they are also enabling us to look further beyond our horizons. The journey starts here. By going behind the gates at Kennedy Space Center today, we each took our own small step toward the future of space exploration by learning and being inspired by the incredible achievements of NASA.
Folks, just want to point out real quick over here to the right, you see NASA's latest project here, this massive solar farm that they have installed. And this solar farm is taking up 491 acres. And combined with the other solar farms that they have around the property here, they're literally looking forward to this helping take care of the majority of their electric. That'll be a great asset for them. As we pull in here, right on the corner is the home of Atlantis. She is sitting in the building as if she's flying in space. And one thing for sure you don't want to miss is seeing Atlantis. It's an amazing display of that orbiter. The building connected to Atlantis right here is the shuttle launch experience, the launch simulator. And that is not a thrill ride. It's a real simulation of what the first few minutes were of a shuttle launch. And it was designed by our shuttle astronauts. So you have some neat things that you can do there. And then as we round the corner up here, folks, on over in the middle of the complex, you can see a big building with a dark purple band around the top of it. That is the IMAX theater known as Planet Play. And you have some amazing 3D movies there, and you're entitled to any of those that you would like to see, and they are amazing 3D movies. And then behind the Planet Play is a brand new facility